So yes, as Aaron said, my name's Kyle Taylor. I started The Penny Hoarder, or as it was known at the time, thepennyhoarder.blogspot, a little over 6 years ago. Uh-oh. Thank you all for coming. I'll be in the lobby. Okay, well, I'll just chit-chat and we'll work on that. So I started a little over 6 years ago, and at the time, the blog was really about me. It was what I was doing to make and save extra money. I had more than $50,000 in student loan debt and no degree to show for it. But as the site got larger, it became less about me and more about what our community of readers were doing to make or save money. So we have people from all over the world now contribute to the site, and it's made us now one of the top 150 publishers in the United States when it comes in terms of traffic. And a large part of that has been through Facebook advertising. Now, I'll have to ask you to excuse my slides. I am a better marketer than I am a designer, and I did these myself. Okay, so I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to share the two ways that we use Facebook advertising at The Penny Hoarder, and then I'm going to share a couple of mistakes that I've learned over the last few years. So the first thing we do is every post that goes live on the site goes through a round of what we call dark pool testing before it gets listed on our Facebook page. And we do that for a couple of reasons. First of all, we believe that if we were to publish something that is a low engaging post on our Facebook page, it brings down the quality of the entire Facebook page. And in fact, we believe it can bring down the amount of engagement or the amount of reach future posts will even get. So we're really careful to not put things on the page that might drag down the overall quality score of our page. And we do that through dark pool testing. I'm going to show you in a minute how we make these. But essentially, a dark pool test looks just like a regular Facebook post, but it doesn't go out. It doesn't get posted to the timeline. It doesn't get shown to your regular audience. Instead, we use a lookalike audience, a group of people who have similar demographic, similar interests as our regular readers, to find out if it's going to be a good post. And there's a couple of key metrics we look for. So if a post comes back from testing and we get a 1 or 2% engagement rate, that post is going in that's going in the archives. It's not going on the Facebook page. But if it comes back with a 3 or 4%, we may send it through another round of testing to find an even better headline or a better image. Or with a 3 or 4%, we'll let a manager override it and put it on the Facebook page if they have a really good feeling that it's going to do well. And maybe just the lookalike audience wasn't feeling happy that day or something. So 3 or 4% is a maybe, and then 5 or 6% is a definite. Those are going on our Facebook page, and once you get above 6%, get your servers ready because you might see a really good traffic boost. Those variations we're testing both the teaser, the image. The teaser is what at the very top they call the ad text, and then the headline. And we started this program in April, and since we started, we've had a 40% uptick in average engagement per post. We now have an average of over 1,100 likes or shares on each post, and that's resulted in almost 1 million more visitors from Facebook organically every single month. Forget what we get just from the advertising. So it's been huge for us. The other way that we use Facebook ads is to give our sponsored posts some love. Maybe you've seen one or two of these ads on your feed before. So this allows us to, first of all, work with larger brands. We work with places like Uber and Airbnb. And frankly, they want to work with publishers that can send them thousands of leads, thousands of visitors. And so by amplifying our reach, we have an opportunity to work with those folks. It also allows us to negotiate better prices. Brands are willing to pay if you can deliver a lot more traffic. And there's one simple reason for that. It's less work for them. They don't have to go manage 100 different publishers. If they can just manage one publisher and send you a ton of traffic, awesome. They're willing to pay for it. And lastly, since we have an existing audience and we've built some trust with them, we're able to buy traffic cheaper than what most brands can do. In fact, we get click-through rates higher than what Uber gets on Facebook because our fans already know our content and they might not be as familiar with Uber's content. Did you have a question? I don't mind being interrupted either. So go ahead.
I'm sorry, but you were saying 3 to 4%, and then 5 and 6%.
Yes.
3 to 4%, what?
3 to 4% is a maybe for us. So
Click-through rate?
yes, click-through rate.
Click-through rate.
Yes. So it needs to go back through another round of testing, or it needs a strong inkling from the manager that it's going to do really well. Otherwise, we don't post it. And that's okay. Not everything needs to go on Facebook. Not everything we write is Facebook friendly. Some things we write for SEO or for Pinterest. So if it doesn't go live, it's not upsetting to us, but we don't want to drag down the overall page. All right, so Aaron mentioned that I've spent about $15 million on ads. Not all of them have been successful. And in fact, I've wasted about $1 million on making some really stupid mistakes. And the first mistake I made was creating a campaign for page likes. This was the very first campaign I ever made when I first started testing. And I spent about $10,000 advertising the page to grow the number of likes we had. And I thought it did pretty well. For that $10,000, I got about 30,000 likes, and I was feeling pretty good until I realized I was never going to hear from those 30,000 people again. And we all know how difficult it is to get Facebook to show our posts to our fans. So growing that fan count is definitely not my concern. So if Facebook likes your money, stay away from those. Instead, advertise for a profit. So I mentioned that we do a lot of affiliate ads. You've seen them I'm sure, on Facebook. So we have a mission of every ad that we create will hopefully pay for itself or offer us some profit by users clicking on ads at the end of or on our splash page. I also don't think you should advertise pages that don't generate revenue at all for you. And that includes pages that just generate display revenue. Chances are your CPMs on those pages are pretty small. So advertise something that generates you a lot of revenue. It might be an affiliate post, it might be a product, or it might be an email splash page. Benefit of this is you're naturally going to get Facebook likes, and hopefully you'll end up making a little bit of profit as well. Okay, Power Editor. Does anyone use Power Editor? Okay, I hate it. So it turns out Power Editor is not that powerful. What I love about Power Editor is free bulk editing of links or bulk editing of bids, but it is so time-consuming to create ads in Power Editor. And I'm in the club that you need to have a ton of variations of your ads, because even moving that needle 0.1% on click-through rate or 0.1% on engagement rate can mean the difference of saving thousands of dollars. And Power Editor is not the place to do it. I'm going to show you in a couple of places that, where we build these here. You need tons of variations for our organic posts. So these are posts that don't create any revenue at all. We generally do 10 to 12 variations, and we spend $40 to $50 to help determine which is the best variation. And then for our sponsored posts, we can create sometimes thousands of variations depending on how much money we want to spend on it. If we're going to spend $100K on a campaign, we probably have at least 500 variations of that ad. Test again. Yeah, it's a lot of headline writing, a lot of images. So this is there's lots of great software out there to build ads. This is one that we like, and I am not an affiliate of theirs, so I get nothing out of mentioning this. But we do love Native. We use Native for testing organic ads. So this is not for ads we're planning to make money off of. What I like about it is that they have a proprietary algorithm that works with Facebook to help you determine the best variation really quickly. So you don't need to spend a ton of money to find out a good variation. So for example, I know it's kind of hard to see up here, but this was a really high-performing post for us last week. Amazon is hiring for seasonal work-from-home positions, and you can see the best variation here. I only had to spend $50 to figure this out, and it had almost a 12% engagement rate. The other one we really love is AdEspresso. And this is the one I use for creating ads for our sponsors. It's a little different than Native. First of all, you can create a lot more variations with AdEspresso. You can create up to 50 per campaign. And what I like about it is you enter your headlines, your teasers, and your images, and it automatically creates a variation for each of these. So there'll be a variation with this headline, this teaser, this image, and so forth, all of the images. So this took me 5 minutes to come up with these. And I already have 45 different variations to run on Facebook.
And just a question.
Sure.
Are there plugins that will go into Facebook, or how is it?
Sure. So the question is, these are plugins. Not exactly plugins. They do tie to your ad accounts, and then once you input the ads, it automatically gets API'd over to Facebook. But you do create them outside of WordPress. It's a little different than a plugin. So here's an example of a variation we did with Uber. So for this campaign, I created 36 different variations of it, and I had three different images, and these images were tied to 12 different ads each. And take a look at the end. Look at the difference in click-through rate between the three variations. And in the last row is the cost per click. It's staggering. The worst variation had around a 2.5% click-through rate, and the best variation had a 6.5% click-through rate, just by changing the image a little bit. And that resulted in CPCs that dropped almost by 50%, from 8 to 4.5 cents. So this is a bit of an extreme example, but this is just how important it is to have multiple images. These are the teasers. Once again, you can see the top variation was costing 10 cents each, and the bottom was costing 4.5 cents.
How do you know it's the picture and not the time of day or the day of the week? There's some parameters that change, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, but these ads are all running at the same time, so if there's competition boosting up the CPCs, or it's a bad time of day, it should reflect that in every variation. Yes?
So you put your stuff in AdEspresso.
Yes.
And you will test it on your lookalike market? Your lookalike?
We use a lookalike audience for testing, because when we post it to our Facebook page, we want it to be fresh to everybody on there, and we don't want some people to have already seen it, liked it in another place.
Wait for the mic. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I could repeat too. I'm sorry. Okay.
I might have missed. Oh, I'm sorry. I might have missed this, but how do you create a lookalike audience?
You can do this directly on Facebook, and there's a couple of different ways you can do it, using a lookalike audience from your Facebook page, or if you have an email list, you can upload the list to Facebook. So just look for, in your insights, look for the tab Audiences, and that's where you create it. So you can use your email list, and it'll look for people on Facebook that have the same email list, come up with a set of demographics, and then look for people that haven't liked your page to become part of your lookalike.
So the lookalike audience,
Yes.
the lookalike audience will not be who's following you on Facebook.
That's exactly right.
So you're pretty much guaranteed of that.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Unless you're using your email list. I mean, we create a lookalike audience from our Facebook page, but if you're using an email list, it's going to be different than that.
Are there niches for which a lookalike audience is not applicable?
I'm sure there are. To be honest with you, I'm sure there are. If you're not going to use a lookalike audience, you can come up with your own set of parameters to test to. So for a long time, because our content is pretty wide-ranging and reaches a lot of demographics, we were just testing with women 25 to 45. So we kept it pretty broad.
Tell them your niche. Yeah, so my niche is my page.
Absolutely. You absolutely could.
Someone was asking if you were going to share your slides.
Oh, yes, I can. I'll post it in the Facebook group for Digi. Yes. No, I'm fine. Yeah. Don't mind the questions. And then lastly, these are the headlines. And you can, again, see a pretty wide variety in click-through rates. So here's a look at the final ad. So this is the best performing teaser, the best performing headline, and the best performing image. And if you look all the way over to the right here, you can see this has the best click-through rate out of anything, because we've combined all of the best parts of the ad. So now it's up to a 6.7% click-through rate, and the CPC dropped down to 3 cents, which is pretty good. Uber was very happy. I wouldn't say that's typical. I've had some get below it, but more often than not, they're much higher than that. Okay, mistake number 3, crappy copy. I don't mince words. So for a long time, I couldn't figure out why people weren't sharing my 10 tips for a better budget. And I know we all have that same article, or how to be a blogger. And it turns out people don't want their friends to know they're on a budget. This is a mistake that we still make on a near daily basis. We did it yesterday. We had an article about food stamps, and the click-through rate was insane, and we said, oh, here we go, buckle up. And then no one liked it because they didn't want people to see that they were interested in this. And that's totally fine, but you need to keep that in mind. So always think about who will share this? Who's actually going to like this? Is this something that there is an audience for that people want their friends to see? So I always say there's a difference between clickbait and good marketing. So the difference for me is that clickbait, the user feels disappointed when they get to the article. It doesn't mean you can't use a clever headline or a clever teaser. Good marketing is good marketing. But if the user experience once they click it is disappointing and they're hitting the back button right away and not liking the post, that's clickbait. Everyone always asks me what matters more, the headline, the image. Frankly, I think they all matter. And we've done testing where even the teaser can move things drastically. So I think they all need to be tested. Surprise them, make them laugh, bewilder them, interest them. Your job is to make them want to click. And finally, tagging and courtesy likes are your friend. Does anyone know what courtesy likes are? So, drive-bys. I like that phrase. So drive-bys is they probably didn't click. They probably didn't click and read the article, but there was something about the title, or maybe you had a funny pun or something that made them give you a courtesy like. Those are your friends because they boost up your overall engagement rate, and they boost up your reach. So maybe they didn't read it, but chances are now 10 more people will be able to see your ad or your Facebook post. They're tapping on the thumb, and they're not doing anything else. So those are your friends, and we encourage them. We've had a lot of success just trying to be funny in our teasers, and it's amazing how many likes you can get without folks clicking. This is an example from today. We're all about the Harry Potter today. Here's a couple more examples of headlines that have done really well for us. So this one on the right, this is an example of where tagging is your friend. This is by far the best performing post we've ever had on the Penny Hoarder. It was a free chicken burger at Red Robin. Who would have thought? But the trick is that you had to have one of 7 or 8 different names. Your name had to be Michael or Jenny or whatever it was. And so people were clicking it to find out if they were one of their names. And then they were coming back and tagging all of their friends that were Michael and Jenny. And all those tags then came back, and it just exploded to several million visitors in a couple of days. And then the Harry Potter one on my right is another good example. Are your old Harry Potter books worth $1,000 or more? Who doesn't want to know if you have one of these versions? It's not misleading. We're telling them exactly what's going to be in the article, but it's clicky. It makes you want to see if you have one.
These aren't sponsored ones, are they? These are just regular books, right?
But we ran them through the same sponsored testing, and these were the best variations.
You're not like making income off these posts.
No.
I'm curious how you make money off these posts.
No, I didn't make any money off of these. I lost my clicker. Okay. Mistake number 4, over-targeting. When I first started running ads, I thought, by the way, that's me, if you didn't know. I watch Barefoot Contessa. When I first started advertising, I thought the key was to find the most specific audience I could that would be most interested in this content. And I got into the weeds. I had an article about how to make money as a ghost hunter, and I was targeting people under 25 who liked Bill Murray and also liked ice cream sundaes or something stupid. I'm not saying don't target, but the result is oftentimes that it makes the CPCs go up so high that you end up losing the benefit of having a really targeted audience. So my suggestion to you is that when you're creating all these different variations, create a couple that have really open targeting parameters. And I'll be completely honest, more often than not, we just advertise 18 to 65, everybody, because it opens us up to such a huge pool. It allows us to get really inexpensive CPCs. Something you're going to have to test, though. This is going to be different for everybody. All right, mistake number 5, thinking I was smarter than Facebook's bidding system. This is a note for me at the bottom of the calendar, so just ignore that. Anybody see the news this morning about Brangelina? Yes. Brad and Angelina broke up, and they did. Yes. For real. And why I'm so upset about it is it's dominating Facebook, and it's made my CPCs go up 20% today. Couldn't they just stay together for me? So you've got to keep an eye. You've got to keep an eye on the calendar. Last week, when NFL football started, CPCs went way up. July 4th, nobody was advertising, and my CPCs were the lowest they were all year long. So keep an eye on the calendar. That might be affecting your CPCs. You are not smarter than Facebook's bidding system. More often than not, I let Facebook decide the lowest bid for me. I used to set a specific bid for each post, what I knew I was going to make, and what ended up happening is I got no traffic at all. So instead, play with your budgets. So instead of playing with your CPCs, play with your budgets. If your CPCs are too high, lower your budget a little bit, and that'll allow Facebook to pace out your ads more evenly throughout the day, and hopefully it will result in lower CPCs. Is there a question? No? Okay. All right, mistake number 6, Facebook jail. I've been in Facebook jail before, and it's not a fun place to be. And there are a lot of changes happening right now. We, as bloggers, we need to be aware of what's going on. So a couple things I want to mention. First of all, are you using the handshake? Is anyone using this yet? All right, so this is extremely important. If you are, no, you don't have to be a verified page. Everybody has to use Handshake. So what Handshake is you're tagging any brands that you're mentioning in that post. And Facebook is terrified right now of having some sort of action from the FTC. So they're getting very concerned about how they're disclosing what's in advertising, and they want publishers to be a part of disclosing that. So it's very easy to do when you're creating an ad or creating a post. There's a little handshake function. It looks like a handshake. You click that and then type in the brand's Facebook page. If you mention multiple brands in one of your posts, I like to do that. We call them power posts, or we mention like 10 different advertisers in a row. You can only mention one as of this moment, so Facebook says pick your favorite, whoever you want. The downside of Handshake, while more disclosure is great, the advertiser also gets to see your stats. So they now have the ability to see how much you're spending to boost the post, and they also get to see what your engagement rate is and how many clicks. Some people are speculating that Facebook is doing this because they want more brands to advertise directly on them rather than with bloggers, but it's definitely a policy we have to follow.
So where do you see the handshake? Like where, is that only on boosted posts, or is that?
It is on all posts, and oh, really? Okay, I might be incorrect. I'm being told that you have to be a verified page to see Handshake.
So if we're not verified pages, what do we do, I guess?
I will ask our Facebook rep and post it in the group this afternoon. Sure. Lastly, this is something we all have to follow. Yes?
Where do you find out what? You're saying don't break the Facebook rules, and you
Yeah.
just gave one. Are there more rules, and where do we find those so that we don't screw things up?
If you just Google Facebook advertising policies, you'll get a whole fun bedtime reading list of things you should or should not do.
Thank you.
So something I've had discussed in some blogger groups I'm in is this handshake and getting verified, which is its own nightmare.
Yes.
But a lot of us will post about a company even though we are not being paid to post about a company. So You know, I'm wearing CoverGirl mascara and it's not running, well, normally doesn't run, this humidity's killing me. But if I want to tag that, I'm not getting compensated for it. Do I still have to tag?
If you're not being paid by a sponsor, you do not have to tag them.
Even if I mention them?
Right. Yes. And so my question to the Facebook reps is, well, how do you know if I'm being paid? Are you checking financials? And they were very honest that they don't know, and they're making educated guesses, and they have yet to shut down any pages for this, but it is something that they're planning to do in the future, and it will likely be for repeat offenders. So, if you're using a tracking link or you have a disclosure on your page or some other form of it looking like paid advertising, chances are you're going to get a fun email from Facebook.
Just to clarify.
Sure.
Just to clarify, that doesn't eliminate our requirement to add the word ad or sponsored, right?
That is a question for your attorney. So the question is, do we have to add hashtag ad at the end of the post? This is not legal advice, but the law is frankly kind of murky when it comes to FTC regulations, and we believe that's double marking because it's already marked as sponsored by Facebook. It's marked with the handshake, and there's also, you can't see it here because this is cut off, but it says sponsored in the right-hand side of all ads. The second thing you need to avoid is to be careful when you're using text to qualify or target audiences. So we can target audiences all we want through Facebook's bidding system, but Facebook gets concerned when we call people out in our text, specific groups of people out in our text. And I'll give you a couple of examples of ads that have been disapproved for us. So one is, you can't say want to get out of debt because Facebook believes you're telling people, I know you're in debt, and you're calling them out. We worked with a medical testing group a couple of months ago, and they wanted people who had psoriasis to sign up for a medical test, and they were going to make $1,000. And we tried saying in the headline, we said, psoriasis sucks, PSCUS, yeah, clever. If you have it, and we were targeting people who had liked psoriasis pages, and we said, psoriasis sucks, sign up for a study and you'll make $1,000 or something along those lines. And Facebook said, oh no, you're telling people, or you're making people self-conscious about having psoriasis, and you're calling them out in the content.
What about positive things, like want to become a millionaire, or something like that?
I think that's different. So, it's up to whoever's reviewing the ad of the day, but I think it's more aspirational than calling out someone's current status.
I had one denied for calling out kids with acne.
Yep, that's a great example, calling out kids with acne, yep. Characteristics or profiling, yep.
They want to ensure that nobody's afraid their privacy's been breached and people are accessing it. That's part of it, is the implied data access.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. Okay, and the last mistake I made for so long was letting fear stop me from buying ads. When I first started buying, I thought, well, surely there's better ways to spend my money. Like maybe I'll hire a couple of people and I won't have to do as much, or maybe I'll try AdWords because it's been around for a little bit longer. And I've talked to a few people this week who have told me, I'm running on Facebook ads and they're profitable, but I have a cap on it. And I said, why? If they're profitable, why not, max out that credit card? That's a whole personal finance group just went, oh, no, he didn't. No, he did not say that. I think we have to stop thinking of ourselves as bloggers. We are business owners. We are CEOs. And we need to start treating our businesses, our blogs, like a business. And that means reinvesting our profits into growing them. If we're not reinvesting chances are we're going to stay where we are inevitably. So use those ads. Facebook is so underpriced right now when it comes to CPCs. There is a hole in that market. So use that to your advantage and give this a try. Even if you just try $40, $50, and really should be getting a commission from Facebook right now. Even if you're going to try $40 or $50 just to test the best variation of a few titles, it's absolutely worth it. At least we have found it. All right, a couple questions? Deacon?
So how do you track when you do a Facebook ad? Say I put $50 towards this
Yes.
specific post, but I have these affiliate links might be located on other pages on my site. How do I track that this ad caused these sales so that I know that it's profitable?
Yeah, that we could probably spend a whole nother hour on that. But so this is going to depend a little bit on what your monetization method is. So if you're selling something, I'm not going to get into details here, but you should use the Facebook Pixel, which I can happy to send more information about because that'll track exactly which ads are sending you sales. But if you're an affiliate marketer like myself, it can be very difficult to know what ads are working and which ones are sending the profit. We use a system called HasOffers, which is if you're a part of any affiliate companies, chances are they use HasOffers as well. There's two main tracking platforms, HasOffers and Cake. It's a little expensive. It starts at $800 a month, but it allows us to track all of that revenue. Before I had that, I did it completely manually. I created different variations of all those posts and no-followed them, no-indexed them. Took me a lot longer, but.
I think you may have already answered my question, but I was going to ask the question because on one of your slides, you talk about making sure that you're making money on your Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And so I was going to ask if you are running the ads to clicking through the website or to conversion.
Oh, that's a really good question. So what is on bidding strategy? Are we paying for conversions or are we paying for clicks? Facebook always says you should bid for what your ultimate goal is. So again, you can't outsmart the robots. If your goal is clicks, you probably shouldn't be bidding for engagement, for example. Us personally, we bid for clicks. We know exactly what that page is worth, and it's difficult for us to bid for conversions because we'd have to place a pixel on every advertiser's page. And we have them, I'd say, on about 60, 70% of them, but there are some advertisers that wouldn't even know what to do with that.
I've put a little bit of money into ads, not a whole lot. Nothing obviously like what you're doing. But when I put it the first day, I feel like I have this kind of big little boost. And then like day two, like typically I'm only putting them up for one day because I've seen the ones that I leave for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days. By day 2 or 3, it's gone. Do you think are y'all doing shorter? Have you seen any change or what do you think?
Yeah, that's a little bit depends on how much money you're putting behind it and how big your target audience is. If you have a really small target audience, you might blow through that really quickly, and your frequency count, meaning the amount of times a user is seeing your ad, will start to increase. The higher your frequency count goes, the higher your CPC will go. You're right, though. There is a blip in the beginning, and we generally find that our best CPCs on an ad are around 24 hours after it goes live. So it takes a little bit of time to get going, but when I log in the next morning, it's usually the best CPCs. If it's a wide audience, it may stay steady. I've had ads that I've run same ad for 2 years because it's just performs well. We haven't reached a frequency cap yet. And then I have some ads that I have to replace every 4 or 5 days.
So what's your rule of thumb on increasing your daily spend on an ad? I've heard no more than 50% a day because it kind of messes up your reach and then it kind of resettles after a day. Or if you start an ad at $50 and it's doing really well, how fast would you build that up?
I guess I'm a bit of a gambler. I'll go a little. So it depends on the margin, right? So if I'm paying 5 cent CPC, but I'm making on average 20 cents per user, I've got a lot of room to play with, so I'll probably increase that much faster. If there's a very slim margin, a penny or two, yes, I think no more than 50% is a great rule.
You talked about valuing a page. How do you do that? What is your formula for saying, okay, I know this page is worth X. I'm going to run these ads, like you were saying, 20 cents versus 5 cents. Can you walk through that?
Sure, yeah. So we add up all the advertising on the page, both the display ads and the affiliate links. So let's say we have 10 advertisers in a page. We'll add up all the revenue and then divide it by the number of page views for that day. And that gives us what we call our RPM, or revenue per user. And we just want that number to be larger than what we're getting on Facebook.
Question. Oh.
Sorry. Oh, you have the mic.
I have the mic.
She has the mic. Well, let's go there first.
Okay, so you're all going to hate me for just a second. But I have a friend who works at Facebook, and he's offered to run ads for me, and I've only done it twice. Because Facebook ads have, I know,
See me
Facebook
after
ads have
class.
so intimidated me. But I am a small Facebook page, so like I have a lot of subscribers, but they don't all go to Facebook, so because everyone's like focus on your email list. So how should I best be using this opportunity? And I don't want to overuse it, but you said no face likes, and that was the next thing I was thinking. Facebook likes, because I would like to get my numbers higher because I have really good engagement. But I don't have a ton of Facebook likes, and I'd like to grow that page.
Well, the first thing you want to do is give me their name so I can chat with them too.
I thought about almost like recording this and being like, this is what they're saying.
So I think, yes, I'll reiterate, stay away from page likes. I do think you should take advantage of this opportunity as much as possible. But I would send them to a page that's creating revenue for you. You're naturally going to get page likes as part of it. Some people are going to move to your page and like it. We earn about 4,000 page likes a day just from ads, not people even coming to our site.
Okay. Is there a difference between putting an ad for your Facebook group or your Facebook page?
You can advertise either. But again, I wouldn't advertise the page, advertise a landing page on your site that's creating revenue for you.
So if you have a product you're selling, is it better to send them directly to your store with the product, or to send them to a blog post that has the product mentioned in it?
That's a really good question that I might need help with. So we don't do any e-commerce on the Penny Hoarder. If it were me, though, I would send them to a blog post or some sort of other landing page before sending them to the product. Does any e-commerce folks do differently?
You can try a variety of. You can try a variety of different things. What works for me is a blog post that really describes our value proposition really well, with links to an email sign-up form as well as direct links to the product. Yeah, and generally sending them directly to a product page, unless that product page is like really amazing. Like if Misha wrote it, for example, it'd be awesome. But but otherwise, yeah.
Any other last thoughts? I think we're got a few more minutes.
Okay.
On your fan page, this is kind of related. What's your mix of Penny Hoarder posts versus other?
Oh, so posting other blogs or
other
ads.
Yeah,
we don't post anyone else's content anymore. And the reason is that, going back to testing, is that we wanted to know for sure everything has a high engagement rate. And to do that, we would have to pay to test another brand's content. So we're not posting anyone else's stuff right now. We do post memes still, so those get reposted. And I think, listen, the Huffington Post uses memes, and I think they're still a great tool. They can boost up your average engagement per post and can help out your regular content.
And lots of likes with those too.
Lots of likes, lots of shares. I don't know why, we're all just simple. We just want to read 3 words. What were you going to ask me, Erin?
Will you talk a little bit about how much you spent or how long it was before you were actually seeing the return on initially, like early on?
Yeah, so how much did I spend before I got a return? I mean, we still have ads all the time that don't perform well, so I don't know that there was ever a hard date. I will say it took me many tens of thousands of dollars before I really got a hang of it, though.
So you took that risk.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want you to like.
I
Encourage us to take the risk.
Yeah, exactly. Take the risk. I mean, our rule of thumb is that we reinvest 50% of our profits back into the business. That's been our rule of thumb for 6 years now. And it's meant some years I was on the ramen noodle diet. But long term, it's helped lead to the success today. Any other Facebook ad questions? I know, glazed over. Sure. No, I don't think so. I think they treat every single post separately, even if it's the same link. So if you're, just to make sure I understand, oh, so boosting an organic post. Oh, yes, that can help. So it's the same post that you're just boosting, that can absolutely drive organic engagement. In fact, one thing I love about Native, as I was showing you before, it predicts what your average engagement boost might be, and organically what you'll get.
So you can jumpstart those.
You can, yes. Yeah.
Have you seen any correlation to doing a Facebook Live event, which we know if you do those long enough, you get a ton of boost, it's just Facebook loves them, impacting your ads at all?
I don't know if I can draw a direct correlation, but I will say that we do believe that the performance on our Facebook page affects our ads. So Facebook looks at our domain name as a more trusted source when our organic stuff is getting good engagement. And Facebook Live is a great tool for that because everybody gets a notification when you go live, and they don't get that on a regular post.
Have you guys used Facebook video or videos for your ads at all and tested it against just like a static picture?
Yes, so we do video content as well, and we test not only variations of the video, but we'll test what that opening shot is, the little thumbnail shot, because that can make a huge difference. And in general, video, because Facebook loves them so much, the CPCs on them are stupid cheap. Yeah, or less. Okay, well, oh, one more question, I'm sorry.
Just one more.
Sure.
No, I just wanted to know if when you're sending out a Facebook ad on a post that is for affiliate marketing, are you just sending it to your people who like your Facebook page, or are you extending it beyond that and trying to target other Facebook pages, or do you do a mix of both?
We do both. So with advertisers that we've worked with for a very long time, we don't want our audience to get fatigued by recommending the same service or product over and over again. I mean, some of that happens naturally. There's no way of avoiding it. So if it's an advertiser that's been around for a while, we'll target folks that haven't liked our page. And not only does it open us up to a new audience, but hopefully it brings some new page likes. If it's a brand new advertiser, though, we first test it with the penny hoarder audience because they're most likely to convert for us. All right, I'm gonna put the slides in the Facebook group this afternoon, and I will also clarify handshake. We'll get that straightened out. But thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Of course.